Alright, so we got the Mario Kart Direct, and yeah, that could have been a meeting. I think it's been summed up by myself and many others as the Direct that didn't need to happen. I think if they just called it an overview trailer, there wouldn't be this big upset. But they kept being like, I know you're a little skeptical about that price, but wait for that Direct and we're gonna blow your minds. And they knew they were talking to the mega fans who are looking into all of this and the footage and the treehouse stuff and the footage from the events and things. And they were telling those people to look out for the Direct. And then we finally get this Mario Kart Direct and they hit us with stuff like,
race as familiar characters like Mario.
which like, wow, holy shit guys, we can play as Mario. That's crazy. We did get some new things, like we learned about the extra stuff that's in free roam, namely the P-switches, the collectible coins, and the power-up panels, I forget what they're called. They seem cool, I guess. I wanted to try to focus my thoughts and not just angrily rant again for one of these videos. So I've got 3 categories for how I feel about this game. And I want to say right up top, I'm being super direct here. I am a huge fan of kart racers. And as much as I complain and moan and wish that they would change this price for the Mario Kart game they're coming out with, I'm going to buy it and enjoy the hell out of it, and it's going to probably be my most played game on the Switch too. Like, that's just how I am as a person. I love kart racers. I love driving around in open spaces. This is like a game made perfectly for me. At the same time, do I think $80 is justified? As of now, no, I don't. And we'll get into that. I don't know if I want to put that at the beginning, probably the end. I think it makes more sense. But this seemed like Nintendo was ramping this up to be like, this is our big showing to prove to you guys that this game is worth $80. And they didn't show us that. They really have not justified it. I think Beat 'em Ups made a excellent point that when Tears of the Kingdom was announced to be $70, Nintendo made a big ado about like, hey, we know this is a high price, but we've spent 5 years working on this. It's one of the most ambitious games we've ever made, and we think it is genuinely worth that price. And it was a lot easier to swallow a $70 price tag. 1, that's kind of just the trend of AAA games now, and 2, they had this whole like honest moment of like, this is a big price, this is why we think it's worth it. And they haven't done that for Mario Kart. They haven't justified it at all. They've just said, yeah, we think it's worth that price, and that's it, which sucks. That really sucks. But to better organize my thoughts, I've divvied them up into 3 categories, and that's Nope, Hope, and Cope. So let's start with Nope. And this is the stuff I didn't like that we've seen so far. If this is the finished version of the game, which why would they not be using that this close to release? I gotta back up from this microphone. What do you mean that's the final version of the character select screen? You're telling me in the Mario Kart game with the most characters ever, you gave us possibly the worst damn menu I've ever seen. Look at all the tabbable windows at the bottom. Why does it look like this? Why are the costumes listed separately and seemingly randomly? Why is it Mario on one page, and then you go 6 pages to the right, and Mario is again, but he's not wearing a hat now? I know there's a sort button, and that sort button better work goddamn magic. But if there's not a toggleable feature where it just shows you the character, you click the character, and then you can select their costume, I will lose my mind. Why are we downgrading from the previous entry? Another thing I don't like. If Rainbow Road is the last course, which in the trailer, it says if you beat every Grand Prix, it unlocks a colorful course, singular. That would mean this game is launching with 30 racetracks. That's it. Which is not only a third of the final amount of 8 Deluxe, less than a third, actually. A third would be 32, which is, you know, an understandable cup amount. It's literally less than any Mario Kart since Super Circuit. Brother, Double Dash had at least 32 courses because it had 8 cups. There's 7 cups in this game, and I'm so hoping, we'll get to it, I'm so hoping for an 8th, but they haven't shown one yet. And if you're trying to tell us that this game is worth $80, you need to show us that it's worth $80. Show us 8 cups. It doesn't need to be a surprise. We know Rainbow Road's gonna be there. We know. It's like they're holding on to Luigi being a surprise. It's Mario Kart. Luigi's gonna be there. And my final note, the free roam does seem admittedly pretty lackluster. The coins and the power panels are lame. They don't seem to add much. Like, okay, they're there, cool. The P-switches are, I will say, pretty cool. It seems like it's a challenge mode a la Mario Kart DS, but according to the trailer, there's hundreds of them. So that does seem like a really solid amount of content that you'll be driving around, and there's little mini games to do and collect, which is awesome if it unlocks something. Because I'm gonna be super real, if they're just there to make number go up and not do anything, that sucks. Like, that really sucks. And I understand that as a party game, they want a lot of content to be accessible right away, but like, you can't have both. Either have a really fun thing to do that can unlock a lot of stuff and be rewarding to complete, or don't add it at all. It would be weird to add a lot of stuff to do that doesn't unlock anything. My guess and my hope is that maybe it's like a car shop where you can buy more cars with the coins you get from doing this, but that hasn't been said. We don't know yet. And I mean, that's most of my nopes. You know, because I also touched on already that, like, this, they kept hyping this up as the direct to sell us why it's worth $80, and they just didn't. It was just a regular trailer, and then they dabbed on us. They literally said, like, hey, you can play as Mario in it, and there's time trials. Dab, fuck you. Like, that, it's crazy. It's crazy. We will move on to the hope. All right, that's our nopes. We move on to hopes. I'm guessing that the reason that there are so few courses in this video game is because Nintendo is treating all of the connective tracks as miniature courses as well. After all, they're at least 2 laps, and if that's true, there is an insane amount of them. The main one they showed off was the first one between the first 2 courses at 100cc, and it looked boring as hell. It was a straight highway with some boost pads, some cars, and again, at 100cc, which is going to make any track look kinda boring, which did not sell them well. But at higher speeds, these might be legitimately interesting tracks, especially looking at some of the others that we got flybys of. Like this, if you didn't tell me this was a connective track, I would assume this is a normal racetrack. And this one, with the like rolling chain chomps in the like U-shaped alley, this looks like a normal track to me. But I'm fairly certain this is also connective tissue. So if these routes are fun and are compelling to play on, suddenly, this game has by far the most amount of courses in any game. Because, including Rainbow Road, that's at least 30 courses. But look at this image of all of the connective tracks. If these are fun to play racetracks, that is an insane amount of content. You would have to be crazy to count all of them. I am. I think there's 117. I might have miscounted 1 or 2. It's hard to tell. There are a lot of them. But if we're counting them as individual racetracks, because they are all separate tracks, technically, that brings the track count up to 147, which is almost double Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which if you include the DLC, is a total of $80. So like, that does kind of make it seem more worth it. As long as these connective tracks are fun to play, that is admittedly an insane amount of content. If they are by themselves fun to race on, that's like 150 racetracks out the gate. And that's just some of the ones we've seen. Obviously, we haven't seen the majority of these. And I say at least 2 lap long courses, because the first one they showed off, like I said, is considered 2 laps, because the 3rd lap is just Crown City. And it looks like this. But on this map, it's just this section. Some of these are much longer. I mean, look at this one between Bowser's Castle and what I believe is Choco Mountain. This is an insane length, and could be 3, 4, maybe 5 laps long if something like this was only 2 laps. So again, if these routes are compelling to play and fun and interesting, I kind of start getting the price tag. But it goes back to my problem that Nintendo should have told us this. Nintendo should be the one on their knees begging us to understand this $80 price tag, but they haven't. All of this is stuff we've had to piece together ourselves, which feels like a spit in the face. It really feels like Nintendo going, you'll buy the slop anyway, and you'll enjoy it, you dirty little piggy. You like that, don't you? Oink oink, piggy. Buy the game, piggy. Like, that's what it feels like. Because they don't care enough to actually tell us why we should pay $80 for this game. They just know we will. Because we will. Obviously. Especially because it's a pack-in game. Like, $50 more, you get it with your Switch. Everyone getting a Switch 2 is going to do that. Like, guaranteed. And that's only until fall, so once that goes away, that sucks. It's a digital copy. There's no reason to limit that. But because they are, their sales are going to be fine no matter what. Not buying the game isn't going to change anything, because the vast majority of people are just going to buy the bundle. Anyway, that was my hope. I got angry again. Here's my cope. All right, here's where we start coping. I'm not going to assume. Now, I've seen some theories that maybe this logo, since there's 3 continents, there's 2 secret continents we haven't seen yet. No, that's too far. Here's my cope. All that we heard about Rainbow Road was that if you beat every Grand Prix, it unlocks a special course. That's it. Right now, on the map, there are 7 cups of 4 races and 29 tracks. Which is weird, right? Because that means one course doesn't appear in any cup. Not to mention, adding Rainbow Road would make 30, which is too short of a final cup. 8 cups that they've always done. So I know this is cope. But if there are actually 3 courses up there in wherever Rainbow Road is, that would work with their Grand Prix nature. That 8th cup could be starting on the ground of, let's be honest, Rainbow Road is right here. We know this from leaks, but also like they connect as a cross over the ocean. That makes sense. So any of these could be that first course of the special cup, which brings you up into the sky to do 2 more new courses and the brand new Rainbow Road, which would bring us to an even 32 races for 8 cups and would be an awesome reveal. But he did just say course, so I am coping. And I would say the DK spaceport is perfect for this because it's literally a rocket ship, but I'm fairly certain that's already the last course of the Mushroom Cup, so that's probably not going to happen. But yeah, my closing thoughts is that I am a dirty little piggy who will buy the Mario Kart slot no matter what. I get it. I am part of the problem. Nintendo's profiteering off of me. But there is a chance that the price tag is understandable. But even if it is, I don't think that excuses Nintendo's behavior around this price tag. Nintendo, I think, is being incredibly disrespectful to its fans for not directly explaining why this is now the most expensive AAA game like ever, except for maybe legitimately impressive and in-depth AAA games that took a lot of money and a lot of time to make. So I don't know. It sucks that I have to say we'll have to play it to see if it's worth it, because you shouldn't have to play a game to see if there's enough content to justify the price tag. Especially since, let's be super real, when and if they add DLC, it's going to be $20 at least. But until next time, you've been watching RyeTwost. Of all the YouTube channels, it's the second one. Stay toasty, slices.